The log page, obviously a pretty simple one. This just logs actions. It logs changes, as you've seen in the, if you watch the simple change video, you'll see that that gets filled with, populated with all the changes we've made. So pretty obviously an easy one here. Every time we've changed the profile, so in previous videos, this is the changes that have been happening as a result. Cancelled to say we didn't make it in the last video. No changes were made. So that's the log sheet, just there so you can keep track of what you've been doing. Also faults. If anything goes wrong, if you've made an error in a cell or something like that, it'll actually highlight what the fault was here and take you to the cell where that fault is. So if there's an error in the map ref, for instance, when you tried to build the map, if you had a letter somewhere or a non-hexadecimal value here, it'll then say, no, there's an error, highlight the error and bring you back to the cell that's got the error in it so you can fix that up without and cancel the rest of the build. But all that will be recorded here and shown automatically. Might as well go over to the advanced map setup page. Much like the map ref, this is used to build the advanced maps that we've seen previously, and obviously since we've changed, it's asking us to update because all advanced map data relies on the maps page. The maps page relies on the map ref page. So if you make a change to the map ref, you must update maps and therefore update advanced maps. If you change to the maps, you must update the advanced maps. Otherwise, that data won't be captured in here. For this page, basically, again, same thing. Starts from top to bottom. As soon as it hits a blank line, it stops looking. We can either put in an existing value, so anything you have in your maps will appear here, and then you can select that. So if we want to have the boost limiter, or boost request, we may as well put in here. You can click it, you can double click it, or click it and click select map. Now it's telling us to select the X input. We know the X input is milligrams per stroke, and at this point in time I'm using that as our X input up here. If you were using the driver's wish map with a 0 to 100% X input and outputting the IQ, you would then use the output of that map to build this map. But in this case we're not, so we just go with that, select X in. The Y input is RPM, which we know is our Y axis, is that's what we've got as the input of this, so we'll do that. How do we want it charted? Do we want it charted by row or column? Just put that in there. And it takes the precision from the map ref page. Again, if you want a calculation tag, you can have a calc tag. For that, you don't necessarily need, you can populate this information, but it's not required. And over here is where you put your calculation in using a standard formula for Excel where equals and then put your formula in there. What's handy to have though is to put the description here because when you're charting later on it just helps you to know. So if it was an IQ you're doing a calculation of, you put the IQ here. That way you know what common outputs you've got when you're trying to compare to see what's limiting your power or where you can do some work. Again, precision. If you put nothing, it just defaults to 0. But if you want to see decimal places, then that's what you do here as far as your calc tag goes. Up here, our X and min and max. So in this case, I'm just outputting direct IQ is what I'm using for calculations. That way it makes everything nice and linear, and if you use your driver's wish map, you get the confusion of your map because your map's not linear, map's all over the place depending on what you've done. Just by ignoring that and just using straight IQ for all your changes just makes it all neater and more linear. 0 to 80, because that's what my maps use. 80 is the max IQ I can go to. X on this is RPM and min and max. That's what I've got to know. Now this could be anything. You could be using this to input a temperature, for instance. So if we come back here and we want to put in an IAT boost pressure correction, this is asking for an inlet air temperature and a boost input. So that way we may have our Y input as temperature, 0 to 100 degrees, minus 20 to whatever, in which case we'd put that here and that would output our map. Quickly, just to delete that, you just delete whatever's in that first column and then it will actually remove everything from the line. If I was to delete something above here, it'll actually bring the lines up because you can't have a blank and keeps that consistent. So let's get rid of that as well while we're here. Table width and table height, I've just got a calculation here because I want it every 5 and so it stays as every 5, or you can put a direct number in. But that'll set your table width and table height in your advanced maps. And that's about it.